Welcome, welcome, Wise Chat. It is it is Monday, December 9th, 2024. Producer Henry here saying thank you for joining us for Case of the Mondays. As you can tell, I'm having a very bad case myself, confusing my days like that, being so late for y'all like this. But Mike will be with us shortly. Go ahead, like that stream, lick that stem, sit on down. Hopefully, you're watching on the clock so you can get some extra time in. And, we'll be right with you. Once again, apologies for saying Wednesday instead of Monday. It is not that late in the week, y'all. Don't have a heart attack about any schoolwork, any work, any emails. I don't know. Were you gonna be watching some hot programming on Tuesday that you thought you forgot about? Well, hey, now you're looking forward to it. What up, Drift King? Yeah, the government's Monday. Don't be that Monday. Be the Monday. Make the Monday you want to be Monday. No Henry Lux Tuesday special, but if you haven't checked it out on Tuesdays yet, show me the meaning. 5 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday.
Oh boy. Um, it's you ever wish that I don't know who's as old as me here, but there was a television show back in the olden days. It was called Saved by the Bell. It was a searing look into the lives of American high school students at a Southern California high school. It really had it all. But there was one famous thing that the protagonist of the show, Zachary Morris, had, which was either a remote control or a snapping power where he could freeze time. And when he would freeze time, time would stop for everyone else, but temporality would still move forward for him. There'd be two concurrent timelines. And in some of those moments, I felt like it gave Zach Morris the ability to better understand what was happening via abstracting himself from that ever encroaching forward flow of time. In other cases, I think it gave him a breather, a way to say, hey, things are a lot right now. I'm going to hit pause. And wouldn't it be nice if we all had the Zach Morris thing right now? Wouldn't it be nice whether to stop and analyze? Have a Hegelian moment. The German philosopher George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel famously said, "The owl of Minerva flies at dusk," meaning that we understand and philosophize in the wake of events. Soren Kierkegaard said life is lived forward, understood backwards. Wouldn't it be nice if we had that? In another sense, wouldn't it be nice sometimes if the encroaching collapse of society via the, internal combustion of late capitalism could pause for a little bit. Let us sit outside. I don't know. That's how I'm feeling today. It's Wisecrack's Case of the Mondays. I'm Michael Burns here, the producer. Henry, sorry that we're starting a little bit late. Work stuff. This is work stuff, but there's other work stuff. Henry, how are you doing today?
I woke up early for a meeting. I ended up getting pushed into the afternoon, so I was kind of
Ooh.
just awake early, wondering what was I gonna do for the show today.
Well, can I share some Henry lore and you can confirm or deny this?
Whoa, okay.
According to a resident of Austin who will go unnamed, that you like sleeping and you don't like getting up early. Is this true?
Yeah, that is true. No,
Okay.
I fluctuate. I like sleeping a lot, though. I do like sleeping a lot, but sometimes I do also like getting up at like 5 in the morning and going to the gym and stuff, like when there's like no one around.
No. You're a real man of contradiction, and I love that for you. But that's great. I love sleep too. And Ann Porkins famously said, "Rascal Flatts said life is a highway." That song was used in the movie. Wait, I see what you're doing there. It took me a second, Porkins. Julia, what's up? Hopefully things are going well in Canada. Nice to see everyone here in the chat. This has nothing to do with anything, but I will say, um, I've been watching the show Say Nothing, and I've been liking it a lot. So if you haven't watched Say Nothing, have you watched Say Nothing, Henry?
No, I have not.
It's a show about like the troubles in Northern Ireland that in some ways almost
Cool.
feels like an Irish mob tale or something. I've watched the first four episodes. I've heard that it takes a pretty dark turn. The analogy I've heard used was Goodfellas, the way that in Goodfellas, it's like a fun movie. In the first hour of Goodfellas, you're like, I want to be an Italian mafia member. And in the last hour, you're like, I do not. I do not want to be an Italian mafia member, and I don't want to do cocaine ever. Um, but hey, guys, lots of stuff to talk about here. Um, it seems like we biffed it again in Friday's video. We made this video about pets, and like you guys hated it. And you know what? I think you might have been right. I'm not totally sure if you were right, but I think you might have been right. Just the vitriol in response, but I get it. I get it. Here's the real thing. I'm going to say a real thing right now that I'm going to regret saying. Guys, sometimes we just got to get a video out. Sometimes we put out around 52 videos a year, maybe 50 videos a year, and I would say that every now and then there's a time where it's like, shit, we got to get something done. And we've had some of that a little bit recently as we're kind of getting used to having two channels. We also put out a video on the substance last week, so please check that out on Wisecrack 2 if you haven't. I'm going to say one more thing real quick.
Uh-huh.
So I see someone saying the same thing over and over, and it seems like they're saying something not cool. So I'll just say this: whatever you want, whatever take you want in the chat. Don't spam. Don't say the same thing twice. We let you say the thing. If you want to say something that's maybe vaguely fascist adjacent, we'll let you say it once. But there you go. Um, but I'll just say that there's been some interesting conversations about things in 2025. One of the things in 2025 is a gaming based stream with Henry and Lux. Henry, I had a talk with Lux about that last week. I'm so excited for what you boys are cooking. That's all I'll say. I'm so excited
Yeah.
for what you boys are cooking. Blaster Master, we were doing shorts. We stopped doing shorts partially because I think we were uncertain about if they were helping or hurting. The second thing is production capacity. We're trying to get someone on our team in 2025 whose job would largely involve doing stuff like cutting up stuff for shorts and TikTok. Well, if it's legal and all those sorts of things. So there you go. What's up, Mellow Jello? Good to see you. Um, but hey, okay, well, Blaster Master, we might try it. So what we want to talk about today, guys, you might have heard of this. You might have heard of this story. So a dude shot the guy who was the CEO of United Healthcare. And what we want to talk about is we're not here to do crime investigation. We're not here to necessarily talk about the morality or immorality of things like this. I'll say like pretty simply whatever. Like, I don't know. In general, my vibe is like killing people is tough. It's a tough hang. It's a tough hang, you know? I've never done it. I don't ever want to do it. I hope none of you have ever done it. And I hope none of you ever have to do it. I also hope none of you ever get killed and except for by God, because God will one day come for us all. But I mean, think about it. He's the world's biggest murderer. But you know, the thing that I think is maybe the most interesting for us in our limited POV in our little corner of the world is, what does it mean that a CEO of a corporation was assassinated in public in New York City, and that a lot of the public reaction, and not just from weird leftist, from all types of people, from satire accounts like Reductress, um, I think I have been shocked by how many folks are almost finding some catharsis in this, and by how split the public has been on who's the good guy and the bad guy here. Now, of course, if you turn on the news, CNN all weekend was a bunch of like retired New York City cops in Fort Lauderdale calling in to be like, we don't know nothing about the guy yet, though. We don't know nothing yet, but we're gonna know something pretty soon yet. But we don't know nothing yet. Someone YouTube watcher put this in the chat. The reaction corporately is that a lot of these companies have taken the CEOs off their website. I don't know if any of you saw this. Let me see if I can find this and share it with you all. Let's see.
You looking for like removed Wikipedia entries or any of those like
Oh,
posts
no,
or
here we
anything?
go. There's a thing that's happened. There's a Newsweek article here. Is Newsweek like even a real thing anymore? I'll send you the link, Henry. We can just kind of
Yeah,
see.
I'll pull it on up on screen. Let's take a look.
But yeah, so basically major companies are now hiring protection managers. Amazon and BlackRock have posted them. So if you guys need a job, there's a bunch of jobs now where you can get paid to protect CEOs. Yeah. So, but that's like where we're at, right? Like the CEOs are scared. I guess, mainstream media industrial complex seems, to be condemning what has happened. And a lot of people on the internet or people on group text with your friends, I think seem to be a little bit more glib about what happened, why it happened, and what it means, like the stream if you're here. So, if you need a job, you can do that. Let's see. I will say Pedro Lena the Tropical Dragon, you should definitely check out Wisecrack 2, where we're doing video essays on movies, and we have some stuff coming out on games and TV. I think it's stuff that's in your wheelhouse, so you should definitely check it out. But yeah, so I think like the main thing I want to talk about or think about here is the fact that what happened can be looked at, a few ways. One way to look at it is that someone did a murder in broad daylight. That's a thing that happened. That's objective. Some people are looking at it as something more akin to a active vigilante justice in which someone has killed a person who, via corporate actions, has led to the deaths and harm of many people. We do know that United Healthcare is the number one health insurance company for denying claims. And for those of you who don't live in America, what that basically means, oh my God, Zaphod Beeblebrock's in the chat. United Healthcare is directly responsible for my onset. Yeah, see, sorry, I almost want to start screaming. That's Zaphod Beeblebrock's. That's effing insane. And I'm so sorry. God, I find this so like morally repugnant. But yeah, like, these are the way that private insurance works. Again, for those of you outside of America here, the way insurance makes money is by not giving you the thing that you paid for. I come from a family of insurance men, not health insurance, so I feel less bad about it. But my grandpa and dad worked in the life insurance industry. But like, that's literally how these companies make money. They take your money and they don't give stuff to you. And United Healthcare, the reason they make profit, and again, these are companies with shareholders that produce profit. The goal of these companies is not to provide healthcare for people. The goal of these companies, and I'm not saying this in a crazy lefty way, this is just the economic analysis of the situation. The goal of these companies is to produce profits and to produce value for shareholders. The way that they do that is by incidentally participating in the healthcare market. But healthcare is almost like a money laundering scheme for them more than anything else. Oh, sorry, I didn't see this. A dog for when it was a cat. A few days after that, Blue Cross canceled their plans for ending anesthesia after surgery goes longer. I'll just say you can't argue with the results. That's, again, guys, this is like a real thing that happened. An insurance company said, we're going to set a cap on how long you can have anesthesia during your surgery. You know, these are things people in boardrooms that make more money than any of us make sit around talking about things like, should we cap how long they can be anesthetized when they're getting surgery, potentially life-saving surgery? You know, someone in the chat said this as well, but like, again, like the fact that people die in America when they're denied things like insulin, medication, surgery. People die when they're unable to afford a copay for a life-saving or life-sustaining health issue. These are things that happen. Let's see. Dr. E brings up social murder. Yeah, you know what? I've not heard that concept, Dr. E, before, aka Darren. But I do think that it's a weird thing, right? Where we really get mad as a society. And this is, again, this is that if there's been a 2024 theme of our streams here, it's been individuals versus structures. And again, we get really mad if an individual kills an individual. I'm not saying that is good. We get mad when that happens. But when a structure, a corporation, a political institution, even a military leads to the death of tens, hundreds, thousands, we're kind of like, oh, well, you know, that's just the way it is. You know, we're like Bruce Hornsby, like, that's just the way it is. Some people die because they can't get medicine. And, you know, green pants all day. A lot of great stuff in the chat, by the way. Oh, we missed 666, but this is a great day for
past
666.
But I want you to just keep riffing.
Yeah, what's more health insurance adjacent than 666? But green pants all day says, I'm not surprised at how detached mainstream media is from public opinion. And this is what we're seeing, right? Like the continued gap between the media and people. Because when most people look at this instance, who do they have, I guess you could say, more empathy for? And I'll say, like, it's like not cool that this guy got killed. It's not cool that his kids don't have a parent anymore. Like, that's not cool. I'm not here to be like silly. And I think there's a weird tendency sometimes to get a little bit bloodthirsty. But do we empathize with this person? Do we empathize with like a billionaire whose job is making sure people can't get their healthcare coverage? I don't. You know, if you were to ask me before this person was murdered, like, is this person like a moral individual? I'd say absolutely not. I think what they're doing is fundamentally immoral. It is imminent to our economic systems. What people like that guy and other CEOs are doing, it's not illegal. It is not outside the machinations of the system in which we live. So we got to acknowledge like systems, people, things of that nature. Yeah, Drift King 305, I get what you're saying there for sure. But, you know, then people, I think, look at the guy who did it and just think, you know, he maybe, I mean, I don't know. I'm almost like imagining scenarios here of how this could have happened. And this is, you know, maybe slightly reckless, but
it's cool. We're a true crime podcast now.
Yeah, we're true. Oh, yeah, we are. We started doing true crime last week. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe this guy's just a nutbag. Maybe he's someone who lost a loved one due to denied care. And maybe he just said, fuck it. You know? I'm not saying that's good. I'm not morally endorsing or whatever. But I don't know. Like, at what point... I think a lot of people in America are reacting to this in a way where they just kind of feel like, at what point do we keep getting fleeced, abused, and killed by a system that we're forced to buy into but have no power or control over? You know, it's a real tough one. And I think that it is, you know, I saw one person, some like real good pod save liberal type, talk about how we can't celebrate a killing like that, or people on the left were being too glib because it was celebrating an act of barbarism. But then the question is like, but isn't the system barbarous? What is more barbaric? What is more barbarous? An individual enacting some sort of revenge or vigilante justice against an individual, is that more barbarous? Or is a group of people sitting in an office planning out their like quarterly profit structure and getting their holiday bonuses ready while they are making that money off the systemic denial of care to people in America, or even when they're not denying care, making globs of profit off of people getting care that in many other countries is considered a right. I don't know what's more barbarous. Maybe you know. You guys are smart. You're smart people. I saw someone bring up Breaking Bad in the chat. Yeah. You know, why was Breaking Bad such a good show? Well, it had great actors, wonderful writers. It was shot in a really cool way. But
Pace.
the inciting incident of the show was real and something people related to. Because in America and in the contemporary age, we didn't find it unbelievable that an inability to get healthcare would drive someone to pretty aggressive extremes. Voices in his head or voice in his head says civility veils barbarism. I think it does. I think there's lots of elements of our society that are these nice little veils over absolutely barbaric conditions. Matt
Yeah.
Bennett, thank you so much for looking the stream. Go ahead, Henry.
I think there's a bit of a a bit of like an overdetermination on like the political commentator side of this, as far as like, oh, the politicians could have appealed to the kind of anger and frustration we're seeing in the celebration of this guy's death, and like, uh, I don't think people, like, a lot of people are reacting to this because it's political. It literally is like the American, like, conditioned response to, like, we see righteous punishment enacted, you know? Like, yeah, everybody can relate to it being a very bad position, or a position they dislike the CEO. And like, imagine the only tools your imagination hand are like, well, now you get to revel in that guy being shot.
Yeah. Um, SMZ says that hospitals are also crooks, and a lot of work done at health insurers is pretty necessary labor, though. The writing's been on the wall for socializing it. I mean, yeah, but again, like it's a systemic thing, right? That like all of these things play off each other. The hospitals, the insurance companies, all sorts of stuff. It's not good. It's not good, folks. So I want to check out. There's a writer who I saw the reporting about Pennsylvania YouTube Watcher, but then I saw someone say it seemed kind of sus. So maybe someone in the chat, like if you want to be one of our investigative journalists, let us
Oh
know
yeah, I
if it
haven't heard
seems
about that.
legit or not. Okay, so there's an article from a writer who I like a lot named Sarah Jones, writer over at New York Magazine. And Sarah Jones also awesome. Another fun fact about Sarah Jones, besides just having, I feel like that's a name you could use to get away with a crime, because Sarah Jones is pretty, like, you know, there's a lot of Sarah Joneses, so you could be the Sarah Jones that does the crime. I shouldn't have said that, but where is this? You know what? I was trying to find her new book that I'm excited about, but because there's so many Sarah Joneses, when I Googled it, nothing came up. But Sarah Jones also has a book coming out. I via the website twitter.com asked if she would maybe Monty Panda, thank you so much, asked if she would come on our stream and talk to us about it, and she said yes. So hopefully she follows up with that. Or, I mean, hopefully I follow up, she follows up, all the stuff follows up. But wrote an article about this, and I think in terms of writers in the mainstream media who I think do a good job of exhibiting a not vaguely, like a principled progressive leftist position, and also doing it with a lot of empathy. I think Sarah Jones is great for that. If you're ever looking for a writer who's like, in a media source you could tell your friends or your parents about, who gets at a lot of things in a really subtle but urgent way, I think she's just a fantastic writer. So we'll look at her piece here. Says that Christopher McNaughton needed care for his ulcerative colitis, which has already caused him to develop arthritis, diarrhea, fatigue, and blood clots. The disease was one problem. His insurance company, United Healthcare, soon proved to be another. As ProPublica reported in 2023, medical bills cost McNaughton nearly $2 million a year. United Healthcare flagged his case for review as a high-dollar account. And one recorded phone call, again on the record, a nurse for United told a colleague that a doctor under contract with the company concluded a drug cocktail that had brought his disease under control was not medically necessary. I knew that was coming. And they complained that the mother was throwing tantrums. So again, like, people are suffering from horrific diseases that we have the capacity to care for, that in our society. And I'll say this, do not for 1 second, this is just me talking, this isn't Wisecrack talking, it's not Henry talking, it's not Christ speaking through me. If we have a society where I have to look at multiple Cybertrucks a day, we have a society where we can afford to give people the medicine they need to stay alive. We live in a society where 10 screens are showing Wicked in IMAX, we have a society where we can afford to give people the healthcare that they deserve. If we have a society where, Hawk Tua girl starts a crypto scam that immediately goes south, we have a world where people should get the medications that they need to stay alive. That's my principled stand here. Um, Now it says, had McNaughton's family not responded with a lawsuit, we might not know the extent of United Healthcare's obstinance. His case is unusual in only one respect: he fought back. And that's the point with all this sort of stuff. Like, we hear the instances of someone who went through it enough and had the resources to go public, to file a lawsuit, whatever it might be. But I want to say as well, for more on this sort of stuff as well, over on the channel More Perfect Union, I feel like we're friends with them, and our friend Alec Opperman does work over there. They've done some good videos about this stuff. So if in me kind of just talking about this, you're like, Chief, I'd rather watch a more substantial YouTube video that gets into, United Healthcare and the healthcare insurance industry more generally, I would recommend potentially checking out More Perfect Union. But it says, as ProPublica noted, insurers reject 1 in 7 claims for treatment, but Americans appeal only 0.1% of the findings. Millions of people know what it's like for an insurance company to deny care. And then it says, the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson ripped the wound open. I mean, and it says, to some, and this, I'm just quoting the article here. I'm just quoting an article. It says, to some, the anonymous shooter is more folk hero than murderer. And I think we often, might think of the real, thank you, Plu's Tax. We think of the big picture examples of this, like people who are dying, which is very, very, very bad. I think another thing we might not think about is how many people have more like passive instances of this. Now, I'm going to speak about my own life for a second, and I'm in no way saying that the example I'm about to say is on the level of the stuff we're reading about. So I just want to make that clear. Okay. But for example, we know this. It's established canon. It's in the lore doc that Michael Burns, has ADHD, right? It is really hard, at least where I live, to see an ADHD specialist, especially an adult ADHD specialist. There's basically no one that I can see that's directly covered by my insurance. So anytime I want to see a psychiatrist about ADHD stuff, I have to use an out-of-network provider. I have to pay out of pocket. Then I have to submit the claim to my insurance company. The irony here is, if you guys have ADHD, the odds of me doing this effectively are pretty slim. But I have to do that anytime I want to see this doctor. Well, here's the other thing. Because of some other elements of our healthcare system, for me to even get a prescription for the medication that makes my life way better, I can't get that medication if I don't see this doctor. So anytime, and again, I have the best health insurance plan that I can pay for. Yeah, be our ad. You're 100%. It's so hard to get tested. I put a massive amount of every paycheck I have towards my health insurance. And even with that, I have to pay hundreds of dollars out of pocket anytime I want to get a tiny bottle of pills that increase my quality of life like ×3. Whoa, someone says it looks like they found him. I want to keep reading this article.
I'm going to get searching on that. I did want to bring up, did you get SMZ super chat? I don't recall.
Oh, no, let me go check that out.
Yeah, but I'll look into the news
I'm
while
seeing
you
police are questioning a man. The man was picked up in a McDonald's in Altoona. Ooh, okay, so they arrested someone. Oh, someone snitched, I think. It seems like someone found a guy that looked like that was in McDonald's, and someone snitched or touted. Okay, provider groups, hospitals have to be hounded by insurers to not overcharge. Drug makers and market entry consultants, private equity and hedge funds are worse players overall, but it's all bad. Yeah, for sure. And thank you for sharing that. Genuinely appreciate it. Someone said his name is Luigi. Everyone's saying this. Oh, I gotta make it a meatball before I kill the CEO. Shouldn't have done that. Logan, I see you in the chat right now. I'm going to email you back today. Logan, would love to have you in-house at the stream on Friday if you want to be there. I'm going to email back everyone later today who got in touch. We are having our massive mega stream on Friday. I did say if people are in the Los Angeles area and they want to come through the office and hang out, we'll try to make it work. I'm going to have to use some discernment here, so apologies in advance. But, I'll get back to people. I'm going to go back to this article. We can catch up on the news later. It says one popular post on X put it, "Today we mourn the death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson gunned down. Wait, I'm sorry. Today we mourn the deaths of the 68,000 Americans who needlessly die each year so that insurance execs like Brian Thompson can become multimillionaires." And then that's like the issue here, right? Is the systemic cost of these versus individuals. And think about it this way, the way we like think about life, right? We somehow accept morally that financial decisions lead to the deaths of 68,000 people. You know, you might not have decided that, but we've collectively, passively, unconsciously as a society decided that that's normative. Yet at the same time, we've decided that the only way that you can morally respond to that would be by an open letter, tweeting at a company, calling someone, maybe if you have the money, trying to sue them, maybe starting a healthcare advocacy organization, maybe starting a community healthcare fund. I'm not saying any of those things are bad. But we've also decided that taking any direct action against the people responsible for that is immoral, is outside the bounds of social and political normality. And I'm just saying, it's a weird little balance we have there. To get back to Jones's article, it says one woman who'd cared for her cancer-stricken mother told New York that she felt a little surge of schadenfreude at the news of Thompson's death. Though the shooter wrote the words delay, deny, and depose on his shell casings, we still don't know his exact motivations. It's obvious, however, that he meant to send a public message. Yeah, and I think that's the thing too. So for those of you who don't know, our man was an artist, I guess. So he used a tiny pen or something to write delay, deny, depose on his casings. That's the title of a book, right? Delay, deny, depose. Okay, so a book on the healthcare industry. So it's clear too that this is someone who, regardless of like, oh, we went over 1,000. Well, guys, there's no copay for Dome. I'll tell you that. There's no copay for Dome. It's included in all of your plans. All of your plans. No copay for Dome. But so we know that the guy had some sort of awareness, had some sort of motivation connected to the injustice of the healthcare system when he did it. Going on, it says cases like McDonald's help explain the rage so many feel. Sarah Palin once warned the ACA would usher in death panels across America. What made her so laughable wasn't the fear mongering, but the fact that death panels are already here. I mean, again, this is the rhetoric used, right? We were told we shouldn't give people health care because if we did give them health care, there would be death panels. But people in their inability to get health care, inability to pay for it, they're already there. And this is the thing too, like whenever you look at, and I'm thinking about the distinction I'm about to give you, because we filmed the God Is Not Dead 5 video on Friday. And one of the theological concepts, your boy read some theology for that video, was looking into is how for most of the history of like Christian ethics and theology, right? And this comes out of Greek philosophy. So even if you hate God, it's fine. There was this conception that what was morally primary was the good, the common good. And this, we get this out of like Plato and stuff. And then individual rights were secondary to that. But what happens with Enlightenment liberalism is that individual rights then become the primary thing over and above the good. If you're familiar with like, modern political philosophy and someone like Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Rousseau's whole gist is like, we need to stop prioritizing the individual will over the collective will. The individual will should be subsumed to the will of the collective. And when people often justify the American healthcare system, they almost never appeal to the common good. They appeal to individual rights. So they will say, American healthcare is better than Canada or the UK because in the UK, people have to wait in line 6 months to get a knee surgery that's important, or cancer patients have to get on a waiting list to, and again, I'm not saying those things are good, but all of the examples will be these certain individuals have to wait longer in that system or something like that. But the thing not being said there is that a majority of people have more affordable and direct access to that healthcare. Now, you might be saying, what do you know, you American piece of S? You big, bald American piece of S? You don't know anything. You a-hole, you piece of S, you piece of crap. Okay, so they didn't catch the guy. Great. Great just because now we can keep focusing on this. But, like, the reason I'm not just a big American piece of S is because I have lived in a country with a state-sponsored healthcare. I lived in that place for, let's think, 8 years, eight, five, six, seven, for the better part of a decade. I lived in a country that had, state-sponsored healthcare. Now, when I lived, jelly spread, that's untrue. Jelly spread, that is a lie, and we will ban you from this chat for spreading lies. Um, but when I lived in that country, here was my experience. Anytime I was like sick, like cold, flu symptoms or whatever, I could normally get in that day or the day after. I once had, I'm just going to be really honest with you guys. This is going to get brutal right now. I once had a concern about testicular cancer. I had to go get my testes tested. And I got an initial testes test, and they were like, we want to do a further testes test. And I think I had to wait like maybe 3 or 4 weeks to go into a place where I had to take my pants off, and then a cold lubricated glove had to lubricate. I'm just going to be really explicit right now, guys. I'm just doing it. I'm just doing this. I'm just doing this right now. Plug your ears for 15 seconds if you're not ready. They had to kind of spread out the situation to like scan it on an x-ray machine. It was a really trying time. I let myself have a beer for lunch that day because I was like, this is too much. The nice thing was, then a week later they called me in and they were like, oh, there's like a little thing, not a big deal. It's not cancer, so you still have the testes. But also, fellas, this is a real thing. Fellas, as we get older, you got to do that. You got to feel your testes, and you got to see if there's lumps, bumps, or things of that nature there. You got to do it. Shouts to Tom Green. That's why I know this. When I was young, Tom Green was one of my heroes. He had testicular cancer. He made a whole special out of it. What a guy. But testy time is over. All that to say is, in all of those instances, no money was ever exchanged. So in all my years living in a country with nationalized healthcare, I was able to get the normative level of care I needed. Now, I did not have a crazy disease. I didn't have to get a massive surgery. Who knows? But I didn't spend any money on any of those things, right? Now, I live in a country, it's called America. And I'm pretty sure that, like, I'm trying to think of every year. I spend money out of pocket on prescriptions every month. I spend money out of pocket on certain appointments. And, chunks of money from every paycheck have to go to covering insurance plans. So again, when we compare the insurance situation in our country to that of other countries, we might say that there are instances in which individual rights have a better go of it in America, but we don't have a better case in terms of collectivity. So to get back to the Sarah Jones article, let's see. So yeah, she says life has improved since the ACA has became law. Medicaid expansion alone has likely saved many lives, but even the insurance marketplace plans can cost hundreds of dollars a month. Shout out to anyone who's ever been on those. They do cost a good amount of money. According to the Commonwealth Fund, the U.S. has the lowest life expectancy at birth, the highest death rates for avoidable or treatable conditions, the highest maternal and infant mortality, and among the highest suicide rates. Again, if we're going to analyze a society on the basis, and it says of any high-income nation, but I mean, that's pretty stark stuff. We like to talk about how America is good because of like Cybertrucks and Sabrina Carpenter. Shouts to Sabrina Carpenter. Cybertruck's terrible. Sabrina Carpenter seems like a talented individual, but we use those types of metrics to decide that we are an advanced, prospering nation. But I don't know. I would rather not have Cybertrucks and not have the lowest life expectancy at birth, highest death rates for avoidable or treatable conditions, and the highest maternal and infant mortality, among the highest suicide rates. I would rather, let me know in the chat what you would prefer. Would you prefer that stuff or Cybertrucks? In November, ProPublica ran another story about United Healthcare, this time on its playbook for limiting mental health care coverage. To deny a person care is to abandon them. They will suffer and they may even die preventable death, but an insurance company will save money. And that's the American way. Again, we're not talking about like individuals here, but if you look at the systemic logic of what is valued under our economic system, it is the saving of money for an insurance company is economically preferable to offering care to a person, even if it's at a large cost. And here's, again, we don't got that much more going, but let me see how much longer this article. Yeah, not a lot left here. I'll tease you by saying Jones does surprise, bring up Friedrich Engels in this article. Which is hidden within that lack of sympathy over Thompson's demise is a note of surprise. We are used to a level of unnecessary and unnatural death in this country, a burden typically borne by the poor. And that's the thing too. Like, poor people in this country die a lot for a lot of reasons. We don't really put it on TV. The wealthy not only live longer than the poor, they often boast healthier years as they age. That phenomenon isn't unique to the U.S., but it's not hard to see why it would persist here or why few would openly grieve the killing of a health insurance executive. An individual act of violence cannot solve an unjust system, but it is a symptom of social dysfunction that our decision makers ignore at their peril. The system is not only unsustainable, it's already breaking down. Um, Really great piece. Let me just wait. I'm censoring someone right now. Who said that? Um, who is, guys? We're not censoring anyone. Henry, are you like secretly censoring people?
No, I've been following along with you in the article, so I haven't really
Yeah.
been minding the chat as much as I usually do.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the link to this article in the chat. Again, guys, if you let's not get paranoid here. We don't have the capacity for that. We
I
don't.
kicked out one spammer earlier, but
Yeah,
no, I'm not censoring anybody.
yeah. I mean, again, guys, that's the only thing. Here's the article if people want to look this up later. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna stop feeding the troll. I'm gonna starve the troll to death. I'm gonna treat the troll like the troll is a participant in the American healthcare system. In 1845, Jones says the writer Frederick Engels accused English society of grave crimes against the working class. Friedrich Engels, ever heard of him? When one individual inflicts bodily injury upon another such that death results, we call the deed manslaughter. Guys, Engels wrote this in 1845. When one individual, I'm gonna finish this quote, friends, and I'll get to the super chat. When one individual inflicts bodily injury upon another such that death results, we call the deed manslaughter. When the assailant knew in advance that the injury would be fatal, we call his deed murder. When a country deliberately subjects its proletariat to conditions that result in premature death, its deed is murder just as surely as the deed of a single individual. Okay, so social murder, Dr. E brought this up in the chat earlier, is an Ingalls thing. The offense can seem natural, he explained, since it is more of omission than of commission. But the result, of course, the same. Let me see. Drift King, dad of two with one. Yeah, I mean, and again, like, listen, I'm soft. I'm not Andrew Tate. I'm not a cool guy. I can admit this stuff. Just makes me want to cry. That's horrible. Our buddy Drift King is just like out here trying to raise kids and trying to take care of them in a country where we have Cybertrucks and water parks and immersive VR experiences where we can live inside of Netflix's Squid Game. Dude is just trying to take care of his kids, you know? Dude's just trying to take care of his kids. Shouldn't be that hard. It just shouldn't be. United Healthcare does not pull a trigger and shoot its victims in the street. Instead, they suffer and may die of cancer, of heart disease, or some treatable condition. Yet insurance companies like it bear some guilt nonetheless. A 2023 survey by the American Medical Association found that 9% of physicians blamed prior authorization for at least one patient's disability or death. 9%, let's rock that up to 10, that's 1 in 10. Another ProPublica story documented the case of Forrest Van Patten, who died from complications of cancer after his insurance company refused to cover a treatment that could have extended his life. When democratic norms fail and justice feels unattainable, people will reach their limit. Some will file a lawsuit, others will make jokes on social media, and in this country, overrun with guns and violence, few will resort to deadlier means. It says Thompson's death was preventable, as so many American deaths are. Until our political class concludes that life is more valuable than profit, there will be blood, if not in the streets and in hospitals and homes. Something has to give in soon. So that's the article is titled "The Shooting That Was Inevitable" from Sarah Jones at New York Magazine. We put the link in the chat. Definitely check that out on your own if you just want to read that. Reading is good. And let me see if I can find real quick, friends, the name of, let's see. I'm going to find it. Okay, here we go. So Sarah Jones' new book is called Disposable. So that's coming out. We're trying to get her on the show to talk about it. America's Contempt for the Underclass is the name of that book. So I'll find a link to that too. So you guys can check that book out if you want. We love books. We love libraries, all that sort of stuff. Disposable. One more second. Ooh, guys, this book, just reading like the description of it sounds like something that I'll say we would be into. the book, yeah, it says in a compelling blend of personal narrative and in-depth reporting, New York Magazine senior writer Sarah Jones exposes the harsh reality of America's racial and income inequality and the devastating impact of the pandemic on our nation's most vulnerable people. Okay, so you can check that out when you want. Hopefully, she'll come on the show and talk about that soon. Trying to make it happen. But I guess the book doesn't come out till February, so maybe I should wait till longer to talk about it. Maybe I should do that. I'm not a good planner, guys. I'm not a good planner. Catching up with the chat. Okay.
Might give us
Does
some
it seem
time if
like
more details unfold or something develops because of events.
Did anything happen? Was it the guy?
Oh no, I'm just saying if we wait till the closer release to the book, February date.
Yeah. Okay, so they have a person of interest in custody. I don't know. Here's my theory. Now that we're a true crime show, I think they just found a guy with a gun in Pennsylvania, and they said that he kind of looked like the guy. Because I think they just need to find a guy. I think the cops are embarrassed. Because I think the cops.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just embarrassed, so they had to find a guy.
There's a video going around of like a Fox News bit about showcasing them looking through Central Park, and it's not very effective methodology.
Yeah, I don't think they found the guy. They didn't find the guy. Logan Reese says he reviewed the Unabomber's manifesto on Goodreads. Is that true, Logan? I'm not going to ask if it's true because it's funny. Also, the idea that you find someone in Pennsylvania with a gun and it means they must have done a crime. Like, we're in America. Every third guy in Pennsylvania has a gun, and every other guy to Pennsylvania McDonald's has a gun. These are the rules. I don't make them. Let's see. So I just,
guys just look like that,
Yeah, guys look like that, and they have guns, and they're in Pennsylvania, and it's part of it. Let's see. All right. Just a reminder, guys, we got a lot going on this week over here. We're streaming all day on Friday, like all day, starting about 9 a.m. Pacific time, going to like 8 p.m. And we have guests. We have our friend Naima Trout, famous online debater from the Jubilee videos. And this will actually be the first time Naima debates some real alpha heroes. We have some great people coming. She's going to debate them. Our friends at Yellow Dot, Adam McKay's Climate Studio, they're going to come hang out with us for an hour. They're making cool stuff. They're talking about it. Our friend Evan from Break Room, the channel that New Rockstars runs, they're going to come hang out with us. Raymond's going to stop by. Helen's stopping by. You know these names. You know these people. We're going to do a live episode of Wisecrack's Philosopher React series. If you have something you want me to react to, send us an email at wisecracklive666@gmail.com. Logan says he used a fake ID at McDonald's. You gotta be 18 to ride that milkshake machine, baby boy. But we got a lot of stuff.
Why are they checking an ID at a McDonald's? It's like, what?
Trying to see. We have a Wiz World live segment coming on the Mega Stream. Oh, we have a really good video game segment with a great comedian who makes his own video games who's coming to do stuff there. I think our friend Kat Abu is going to come on and hang with us for a little bit. So Kat will be here. I think one of my favorite comedians, Skylar Higley, I think is maybe going to stop by. Skylar Higley, one of Vulture's like 10 comedians to watch in America. He works on the show after midnight. So we're going to hang out all day. So we're excited to have you guys with us there. We're going to do a normal stream on Wednesday. We'll see what happens then. There's been reports, and I don't know if this is real or not, that Adam Friedland and Destiny have a debate video coming out, so maybe we'll watch that on Wednesday. And I think if there's like a takeaway from everything today, it's that instances like this force us to think about the contradiction between a common good and individual rights. They force us to think about individual acts of malice and injustice and systemic acts of malice and injustice. And I hope that we don't fall into the trap of acting as if we can't think of all of these things. In that it's possible to be like, sure, it's maybe not the best. This guy just rolled up and murked this dude, but also that doesn't absolve that person from being a truly world historically odious individual. Pizza mukbang, London Go. I think I kind of want to save pizza mukbang for just a separate normal stream with Kat because we got a lot going on Friday. We're doing some different stuff production wise, and I'm worried it could get a little messy. No pun intended. But we're doing the Chicago Pizza Face Off
Yeah,
Luke, it is Holy Dome.
we gotta hold
You
you
know, I don't want
accountable for
to.
that pizza and for those folk songs.
Yeah, the folks. Yeah, all this is happening. I would say the folk songs. I don't need to do those until he's inaugurated. Fun news story: the University of Southern California sent out a letter to all of their students because University of California has like the sixth most international students or something like that of any university in America. They had to send a letter out to the international students urging them to come back from break before the inauguration because they can't guarantee they'll be let in after the inauguration. So that's cool. Pedro Lina, God, I'm trying to think if I've read Black Marxism. I feel like I've read excerpts before. Probably like it. I'll probably just be like, oh, this is cool. This is a cool thing. This is a cool thing. Our friend CJ the X put a new video out called Six Shapes of God. I've watched about half of it. Um, and the really important life announcement too. I did finally get YouTube Premium. I got YouTube Premium because when I do my own streams, people make fun of me for having ads, and then nice people, people have watched enough of my own videos that I made a little bit of money and signed up for Patreon. So I'm like, if people are paying me to do this, I'm going to use some of that money to that. The other thing I want to use money for, and I shouldn't be doing this because I'm talking about non-company stuff, but forgive me, I want to buy like a decent DSLR camera that I can use at home, which I will use for work stuff. I'll use it for streaming like this, but also for my own shit. If anyone has thoughts, shoot me an email or let me know on something relatively affordable, maybe something I can get used. Sean, YouTube Premium is so worth it. And like within the first hour of using it, I was like, why? How do I spend so much time on YouTube consuming most? Like it's the thing I watch the most. How am I not doing that? I think mirrorless Party Tortoise. Well,
I
right?
can give you some camera info if you need some, but
Yeah.
yeah, mirrorless stuff is what I'm a fan of.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at some Canon stuff, a Sony, and a
Sony,
Panasonic
yeah, I was about to say
Lumix.
Sony and Panasonic. I use a GH4. It's a Lumix, and then like my roommate uses a few different Sonys, but
Yeah,
they have nice low light. They have a lot of features that are good for low light settings,
yeah,
so it's easier to light it. You don't need a lot of setup. You can
yeah.
flex them, take
Someone
them
sent
anywhere.
me a Lumix G7 and said that they use that and it's good. And it's on sale right now, so I was thinking about that. But we'll see. That's again, I feel only kind of bad talking about this because it's slightly not all for work stuff, but it's somewhat for work stuff. But yeah, big week. We will have streamed a total of by the end of this week 15 hours on this channel. So, which means 15 hours of my work week will involve this.
Yeah, this week
Um,
alone.
and then I'll give you a little heads up here too, guys. Our last video of the year that will come out, which will be a week from Friday, is the God's Not Dead 5 video. We missed God's Not Dead 4 last year, so I will tell you this. I'm recording, and this is like illegal, technically. I'm doing an entire watch along video for God's Not Dead 4. Like I'm gonna watch along the entire movie, and I'm uploading the whole thing to our Patreon. So please do check that out. Um, and I'm gonna upload it when the other video, or maybe I'll do it like a week before. But if you don't want to join Patreon, the cool thing we're doing is it's gonna be up there. You can just buy that video, and I'm gonna make it the lowest price that Patreon lets us do, which I think is like $3. Before that $3, it'll be the entirety of God's Not Dead 4 with me doing a live commentary. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up here today. I got some meeting stuff to do. We're streaming a ton this week, so I'm happy cutting this one a little bit short. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for getting us to Dome. Please like and leave comments on your way out if you haven't already. Thanks for being such a great chat. Really appreciate all of you. And I will catch you Wednesday, and then I'll catch you all day Friday. And just a reminder, wisecracklive666 at gmail.com. If you need anything, we'll see you later.
See y'all Wednesday.